The Imperial Truth. The Imperium of Man, a galaxy-spanning empire stretching across over 1 million worlds. Thousands of planets, with a host of different cultures. Theocratic and deeply superstitious. The Imperium of Man is incredibly suspicious of rapid innovation and the development of new technologies. Whilst the Imperium of the 41st Millennium has reached a state of technological and philosophical stagnation, it was not always the case. From the very moment of its birth, the official belief of the Imperium was known as the Imperial Truth, initiated by the Emperor and a host of philosophers, artists, and scientists. The Imperial Truth was a belief system completely driven by science, reason, and philosophy. There would be no religion. There would be no superstition. Humanity had finally advanced beyond its more primitive past. There were no gods, there were no ghosts, and even the creatures inhabiting the warp were simply an as yet fully comprehended form of alien. From the youngest child to the oldest statesman, from the humblest soldier to the greatest generals, all would know and strictly follow the Imperial Truth. Even the Astartes and the very Primarchs themselves were to follow the Imperial Truth. All worlds were brought into the Imperium, either by conquest or diplomacy, would be taught the Imperial Truth and would be brought into a new age of reason and enlightenment. All previous religious practices would be discarded and no form of superstition would be tolerated. The Emperor had seen for himself through the eons what religion had done to humanity. What had been done in the name of religion, and sought to truly unite humanity and usher a new and brighter age to the human race. As promising as this new religion-free age appeared to be, the Imperial Truth concealed a deeper secret. A truth so pivotal it would reshape the Imperium forever. The truth about the Chaos Gods. Unknown to the vast majority in the Imperium, the Chaos Gods did exist, and were actively conspiring against the Emperor and against all humanity. This lack of awareness of the Chaos Gods was not simply due to ignorance, but it was by design. The design of the Emperor himself. Long before the unification of Terra, the Emperor had travelled to the planet of Molech, entering a warp gate located on the planet. While none know for certain exactly what occurred during his travels within the warp, it is firmly believed that the Emperor gained a full understanding of the Chaos Gods and how chaos and the warp itself operates. And what resulted from his travels within the warp, the Emperor had developed what would become the Imperial Truth. Whilst the Imperial Truth would indeed benefit humanity greatly, it would also serve the ulterior motive of combating the Chaos Gods. Knowing the nature of chaos and how the Chaos Gods gain their power, the widespread adoption of the Imperial Truth and the abolishment of religion would effectively starve chaos of its power. Whilst not killing the Chaos Gods outright, the end of all belief would severely weaken the power of all warp entities, limiting their ability to interact within our realm. This, without a doubt, would truly limit any potential damage to all within the Imperium. However, there is a moral dilemma within this decision. While one could argue that the implementation of the Imperial Truth would objectively be a benefit to humanity and its future, should the truth of the Chaos Gods be kept a secret? Who deserves to know the hidden truth? And how far would you go to keep this secret? During the days of the Great Crusade, word of the Emperor's achievements spread, and stories of abilities were told across the Imperium. As word spread, it did not take long for some of those within the Imperium to genuinely believe the Emperor was divine. Eventually, the belief in the Emperor's divinity spread enough to that the Primarch Lorgar Aurelian had encouraged the city of Monarchia on the planet of Kur under his rule to become the spiritual hub of the Imperium, where all who believed in the Emperor as a god would gather to worship the God Emperor. Upon hearing of this, the Emperor, with his closest advisor and dear friend Malcador Sigillite, along with Robute Gilliman and his legion, the Ultramarines, headed to Kerr. Upon their arrival and being greeted by Lorgar and his legion, the Emperor ordered the destruction of Monarchia, as an example that any form of religion would not be tolerated, and that the Imperial Truth was absolute. The Emperor, using his psychic might, forced the Word-Bearer's legion to kneel and watch as Monarchia was destroyed and their Primarch, Lorgar, was reprimanded by his father, the Emperor. This event unquestionably influenced Lorgar's decision to betray his father and turn to chaos. But was the Emperor right in his actions? Was this action warranted to preserve the Imperial Truth, humanity's best weapon against the Chaos Gods? Was the Emperor correct in keeping the truth of chaos from all, including his sons, the Primarchs? If the populace had known the truth of chaos, would it benefit humanity? Ultimately, knowing the gods do exist, would you tell everyone? Many of you have asked for my own personal opinion on certain topics within the Warhammer 40K universe, and with respect to the Imperial Truth, it is a tricky subject. The God Emperor implemented the Imperial Truth with a kind of benevolence to all of humanity. But this is a type of arrogance, and due to the Emperor being of such a divine quality, so powerful, such a ruler over the entirety of humanity, it was only a matter of time that he would then become a god, a worshipped deity in the eyes of the human race. However, on the flip side of that, could we say that the Emperor's actions were born of arrogance? Maybe. Some benevolence, as previously mentioned? Potentially. Was his actions worthwhile in the end if ultimately the betrayal of his Primarch sons would lead to chaos erupting within the Imperium of Man? Should the God Emperor have trusted at the very least his sons with this knowledge? Or were the Primarchs ultimately always destined to turn to chaos? There's an interesting parallel with respect to the Emperor and governments of today. Governments often keep things secret from their populace to keep calm and quiet, to keep the citizens within their status quo. However, it is often proved even in today that when citizens are aware, it does not change the outcome. The God Emperor himself displayed a brute force of arrogance in his actions, almost creating a foregone conclusion within his Primarchs. But that is simply my own opinion with respect to Chaos, the God Emperor, and the Imperial Truth. Please do let me know yours down below in the comment section. If you're new here and you enjoyed this video, or if you simply just enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. Take care.